My co-founder threatened to kill our app launch to test my loyalty. I'd already dissolved the company and charged him the cancellation fee. Julian and I had been building this logistics software for 4 years. The startup was his brainchild. He'd been pitching it for a year, sending me napkin sketches, leaving Forbes magazines on my desk, making grand speeches at every tech mixer we crashed. So, I agreed to build it. He bought champagne and called it a perfect partnership. We set a beta launch 10 months out, and the grind started immediately. Except I was the one doing all of the actual bleeding. Julian picked the hex codes and our mission statement. I coded the entire backend, built the AWS architecture, secured the payment gateways, hired the beta testers, and negotiated the server leases. I spent over 40 hours agonizing over the database structure in the first 2 months alone. Every time I asked Julian to handle an operational task, he'd forget or push it to his next deep work sprint. I booked the investor pitch. He didn't show up. I asked him to finalize the privacy policy. He turned it in 3 weeks late with critical clauses missing. I asked about his market research. He said he'd get to it. By month 5, I drained $38,000 of my own savings on infrastructure. Julian contributed nothing, not a single dime. When I confronted him, he said I had the liquid capital, so it made sense for the ecosystem. I let it slide because I believed in the code, and I figured once we launched, the revenue would fix us. Then the erratic doubt started. Not mine. His. He'd come back from expensive lunches with his incubator friends and say things like, "Are we rushing the market fit?" His buddy Silas had just tanked a crypto venture, and suddenly Julian was questioning our entire roadmap. He hired a business coach, which I tolerated, but his coach apparently told him to trust his disruptive instincts. His instincts were bipolar. 1 week he was manic, ordering custom hoodies and gushing about our IPO. The next week he was a ghost, telling me he needed to retreat to the mountains to recalibrate his vision. This psychological whiplash dragged on for 3 agonizing months. I kept coding. I kept funding it. I kept pretending the server floor wasn't crumbling beneath me. That's when the real bombshell dropped. At month 8, exactly 2 months before our global launch, Julian sat me down in the boardroom. "I think we need to pull the plug," he muttered. "I'm just not sure about our synergy anymore." I stared at him. He looked visibly nervous, but also deeply relieved, like he'd been rehearsing this execution. He fully expected me to argue. He expected me to panic, beg him to stay, or offer him absolute creative control. Instead, I leaned back. "Already done," I whispered. His face went entirely blank. "What?" I said. "It is completely handled," I replied flatly. "I legally dissolved the LLC and canceled the deployment last week." He blinked rapidly, his jaw unhinging. "What do you mean you canceled it?" "I mean I contacted every vendor, wiped the cloud servers, killed the trademark filings, and notified the beta users that we are permanently offline." I could see his brain violently short-circuiting. "You cannot just incinerate a company without consulting me," he shrieked. Heat climbed my neck and my vision blurred. "You literally just told me to pull the plug," I snapped. "I meant we needed to table the launch. I meant let's discuss our dynamic," he stammered. "So when you said pull the plug, you didn't mean pull the plug." He started hyperventilating. This wasn't how his power play was supposed to go. He expected me to grovel, not hand him a corpse. "I was trying to test your dedication to the brand, and you went behind my back and destroyed my legacy," he yelled. "I didn't destroy anything," I hissed. "You've been threatening to walk for 3 months. You skipped the investor pitch. You never funded a single byte of data. You couldn't even format a privacy policy. I've watched you draft your exit strategy since Silas went bankrupt. So when you said you wanted out, I granted your wish." Then his phone vibrated on the glass table. It was the server hosting conglomerate. Julian answered on speakerphone, his hands shaking. "Hi, this is Marcus from Apex Hosting. I'm calling to confirm the enterprise cancellation has been finalized. The early termination fee of $8,500 will be charged to your personal card on file. Could you confirm?" Julian looked at me, all the blood draining from his face. His voice was barely a whisper. "That's my Amex." I nodded slowly. "You insisted on being the backup card on the server contract. You demanded it because you said it made you feel like a real executive." Julian choked out a confirmation to Marcus and hung up. He sat there, paralyzed, staring at the floor. I didn't move an inch. "I burned 38 grand, and you're eating the cancellation fee," I said coldly. "You wanted out, Julian. This is what the exit door costs." He actually started crying. "I wasn't really quitting. I just wanted you to fight for my vision. I have been fighting for 10 months. I yelled. "I coded the infrastructure. I paid the leases. I worked 90-hour weeks while you scrolled Twitter. If you wanted me to fight for you, you should have written a single line of code." He begged me to restore the backups. I said no. The server racks were already reallocated to other startups. The IP trademarks were legally abandoned. 2 of our top engineers had already signed with Google. There was absolutely nothing left to undo, even if I was stupid enough to try. "Are you kicking me out of the industry?" he asked, wiping his eyes. "I'm just not sure about our synergy," I whispered. He physically recoiled, hearing his own toxic garbage weaponized against him. The next 2 weeks were deafeningly quiet. Julian packed his desk. He told his networking circle I sabotaged a unicorn startup out of pure jealousy. He posted a vague LinkedIn essay about trusting toxic co-founders. Silas, the bankrupt friend, texted me claiming I was a sociopath for dissolving the firm without a board vote. I didn't respond to a single notification. My lead developer texted to ask if I had any regret.